So if you think an AI code assistant is like having a professional programmer, an expert sitting next to you who can do all the hard work for you, well, think again. I have been coding for more than a decade now, and a year ago I just started using AI as part of my workflow. And I must say, at first I was absolutely amazed, I was shocked. But now, after a year of using it, I'm back to reality and I see things a little bit differently. In this video, I'll show you how a code assistant can actually slow you down in your progress. I'll show you the dangers of relying too much on an AI. And as an alternative, I'll give you 3 heavily underappreciated practices that any developer at any level can implement to improve their skills. I know AI is amazing, it's everywhere, you should embrace change, but I will still give you 3 reasons why you should not use an AI code assistant. If you are a beginner or trying something new, I think you should just focus on acquiring that new skill. You just learn by doing. So if you want to learn how to cycle, you just go on the bike and you try it out. And it's the same very simple recipe for coding. You try it out, you will make mistakes and you will fix your errors. It won't work, you think hard about the problem. This process can be very painful at times, but it's always gratifying. And this is actually how you get better at what you do. And when you use an AI code assistant, you completely strip away that growth opportunity. So you remove the trial and error part of the process. And really, that's my first issue with AI. I believe a code assistant is slowing your progression because it deprives you of the core element of the learning process, which is that trial and error and doing it for yourself. So AI is really great at giving you quick answers. It's truly amazing, like there's no denial about it. It can literally generate a whole block of code in no time. But a quick answer doesn't necessarily mean a correct answer. So if you think about it, where does the answer even come from? AI models are trained on real-world data sample, and in the case of AI code assistants, it can be open source projects, publicly available source code, and that data sample will necessarily contain some incorrect code. So I could be posting something on a forum, asking for help, and that piece of code that doesn't work could make its way into the model training. So ultimately, the answer you get are more or less the average answer out there. It's not like the AI is it's reading your mind and coming up with an answer specifically drafted just for you. So the AI code assistant is like just getting an average answer of what already exists. So they also have another limitation that prevents them from being able to come up with the correct answer, at least coming up with the correct answer every time. It's because the code assistants work with a limited context. Sometimes the context is limited to the source file you're working on, but even if it has the entire source code, the entire project as context, there will always be something missing. Because an AI code assistant doesn't know the initial requirement, it doesn't know the project history, it's not even aware of the end user behavior. Because when you code, what you do really is you translate an intention, so you translate an expected behavior into machine instructions. And that can be very subtle because those intentions, those requirements come from real humans. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, humans don't give clear instructions. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. So your job as a developer is to convert those fuzzy, those unclear requirements into a set of really precise machine instructions. And that's my second main issue with using AI, because you can't fully trust the accuracy of the answers it gives you. So please do not fall into the trap of thinking that an AI code assistant is an expert developer. It takes a bit more than just writing code. It has to be really clear in your mind that a code assistant is literally just that, an assistant. But the point is that even if, let's say, 99% of the time the suggested code works, what happens to the remaining 1% when it doesn't? Whose fault is it if AI-generated code leads to bugs in production systems? So you are still responsible for the code you publish. If you get generated code that you can't read or you don't understand, just don't use it. Because if you decide to use the code you don't understand just because it seems to work, you still need to maintain it. So what happens when you need to make changes to that code or even debug an error that happened? What do you do? So that's my third reason why I would discourage using AI code assistant, especially for beginners. If you put the AI assistant in charge, not only that's not really a professional attitude, but it can also lead to real world consequences for the product you're building and your career. Make sure you are the one staying in control if you use an AI code assistant. Okay, so you want to stay in charge, you want to put all the hard work yourself because ultimately that's what will make you a better programmer. But everyone gets stuck at some point and needs help. So before jumping straight into ChatGPT, I will give you 3 alternatives that can be much more beneficial for you, especially if you care about your career progression. So when you code, you have to know about the programming language, of course. You must use countless of libraries and you might use frameworks. You need to understand how to build, how to deploy, how to run your code. And that's a lot. So it can be overwhelming, but guess what? The people behind the programming languages, the framework and all the tools that we use and we love have been kind enough to write some instructions for us. So there is genuinely fantastic documentation out there, but don't worry, I'm not suggesting that you go there and you just start reading all of it, or worse, even read programming languages specifications. So just don't do that unless you want to, I don't know. But yeah, don't do it. So here's what I would recommend you do instead. So if you use a library, just open the documentation and read the titles, read the outlines, and go quickly through the different chapters to the different sections. And if there are some diagrams, images, or highlighted sections, or even summaries, just read those as well. So when you do that, you become aware of what's available and what's not available. It's like, I don't know, you go to a restaurant and you read the menu sections. So you can see that they have like pasta, they have pizza, they have dessert, wine. But if you want a burger and it's not in one of the sections, you know that you are in the wrong restaurant. But if you want a pizza, you can just check that section and see which one you want. If you used ChatGPT, you know that it's very eager to give you an answer no matter what. So if ChatGPT was a waiter in that restaurant and you asked for a burger, he could lie to you and just say, yes, we have burger. So not only this will leave you very disappointed, but it will also waste your precious time. So my first recommendation is to skim read through the documentation, and next time you're stuck, you know where to find the answer and you know you can trust that answer. So that's really important because the information in documentation tends to be much more accurate than an answer from ChatGPT. However, you can't always find answers in the documentation. Sometimes you just don't know where to find the solution. So this might be slightly controversial, but I recommend a good old Google search. So hear me out. So when you get a result from Google, you know the source and you know the context in which that information has been produced. For example, if you go on the post, our favorite website as developer, Stack Overflow, you can see how old the post is, you can see how old the answers are, and not only that, you can also see the back and forth in the comments and the different versions of an answer. Yes, of course, an AI can give you an answer, but if you are not actively asking for an alternative solution, or if you are not asking for nuances, you most likely won't get them from an AI-generated answer. So this is, of course, the most challenging and slowest option, but I truly believe that can lead you much further than just interacting with an AI. So I'm sure that this has already happened to you as well, but sometimes you get asked a question and you just Google it and you give the answer, then you appear to be like really smart when in reality you just Googled it. Surely the person asking for the question could have done the same. So that also shows that knowing how to search and where to find the relevant information is a skill in itself, and the more you practice, the better you get at it. And people around you will be very grateful and will value your insight when you do that. And that brings me to something that I actually only realized recently. It's something that we all tend to do quite naturally, but turning it into a habit can really transform how others are seeing you. And that's simply helping others. So when you struggle with a piece of code and you finally make it work, or when you spend like countless hours on a complex concept and it finally clicks, I would suggest you share it. Share it. One powerful way of consolidating that new skill or that new piece of knowledge is just to teach it online or through your colleague. Just talk about it. So that will anchor that knowledge within you. But there are other ways you can help as well. So you can write documentation, you can do pair programming, you can do code reviews. So there are a lot of practices out there in our job that makes it possible to help others. So when you focus your attention on solving other people's problems, good things happen. So first of all, you feel good about it, and people want to work with you, they will value your opinion, and you might even be given more responsibilities. But it all starts with you putting in the effort, doing the work yourself, and not taking shortcuts. So let's be clear here. I'm not against using AI at all. Actually, quite the opposite. So I would argue that you should use AI, and you can watch this next video for my recommendation on how to use AI as a programmer. Woof.